Hey, what's up, Super Cruisers? I'm here with comedian extraordinaire who destroyed the ship, both shows. Went hard. It was no holds barred. He did his thing as only he can do. Capone, ladies and gentlemen,
Hey, how
in the
y'all
building.
doing?
All right, staff, cast, crew. Yay! Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, we need the adoration. I think I don't know what it is, but somebody say your name. You want at least two people
Yeah,
to clap. All right. But man, you did your thing, brother. As
thank
you
you.
know, no
Thank you very
surprise, of course.
much.
But how was the experience for you here on the cruise?
It was a great experience. As I said earlier, to find a great load of people who really don't know who you are it was a treat for me because I got the opportunity to introduce myself and for them to find out who I am, which was great.
Yes, and they found out for real. And it's so funny. So, you look around and this is a grown cruise, right?
Right.
And, you see the mamas and the mothers of the church and all that. And you think, okay, should I pull back on my material?
Yeah.
Should I change up a little bit? You went straight in. And the first thing the lady said when we were leaving the show, like, you were funny now. I'm thinking, excuse my language. They were like, no, that thing you said about the penises was hilarious.
Yeah. They kind of remember that they were, normal too.
And exactly. But it's really great when you have this type of gathering of people, the quality of people that come to a show. Because, we do shows everywhere.
Right.
And we've done hood shows and we've done all types of shows. But how did you feel the experience of, just the type of people you're performing for?
It was really good to bring them into my world. And that's what being a comic is about. It's not going out to try to please them. It's actually making them laugh at what you do. And they really gravitated to me, and I felt great about it.
Yeah, and you had a great Q&A when we did the panel earlier today. And you told some of the stories of basically how you got into comedy.
Right.
So you might want to share a little bit of that with the people that didn't come to the panel.
Well, basically, I was always a guy who knew how to snap on people. And one day I snapped on a guy who was a creator of comedy shows, and his name was Rob Bradley. And he said, well, if you think you're that funny, bring it to the stage. Yeah. And I studied comedy a little bit. I knew what it took to present a joke. And from then, I just been myself. And it's been a great feeling. It's a great way to express yourself. It's a great way to release, and you get that great opportunity both at the same time.
Yeah. And you're not only a hilarious stand-up, but you're also an entrepreneur of the game. I mean, you hustle. You
Yes.
present your own ideas. Tell a young comic or anybody out there what they should know going into a business like comedy.
Well, the first thing is that you need to actually be original. That's something that you got to practice on because it's easy to pick up on guys that you see and that you admire what they do, and then you don't realize it, but you start mimicking their voice.
Yeah.
And when you can break away from that and learn the business of comedy, it's a great thing. And learning the business is not an easy task, because you got different ways of selling product. I remember when the first time when I hit the scene, I was like, I want to put a book out. And the guy was like, well, who are you? He knew who I was, but he said,
Right.
Nobody knows you, so you're wasting time. Build yourself up first, and then you'll be able to tell your story, and people will buy what you have to write about. And it was a hard lesson to learn because automatically I thought I was somebody, even being in the street. I'm going to tell them how I got from the streets. A million people tell that stories. What make yours so unique? Get the experience first, and then you can put it out there, and people will want to know.
So have you written that book?
Actually, not a book, but I wrote a manifestation book because I started getting into crystals and, the sun and manifesting things, and I wrote that book, and it's been very successful.
That's good. That's
Yes.
good. Can people still get it? It's available
Yeah,
somewhere?
they can go I usually sell it at my shows
Right.
because I like cutting out the middleman.
Exactly.
But
And get to reminisce about that hand to hand.
yeah, but the middleman cut me out now.
Oh,
My
wow.
book was selling more than her book, and she really told me. She was like, well, you didn't really help me. So I'm learning to publish it myself.
Got you. That's a good move. What can people expect going forward for Capone? What's on your vision board, or even things that you literally have coming up?
Well, of course, the merchandise is
Yeah.
going crazy right now.
Yeah, tell them the story about what's behind your merchandise.
Well, the first shirt that I created was called "Mama, We Made It," and it was a story basically of my mother telling me not to do anything illegal and take a step and do something more with your life. At first, I didn't know nothing about but the streets, but she made me make her a promise, and she died before she can get to see me perform. And so I kept a promise, and that's why the company is called Mama, We Made It.
Fantastic.
And I've heard several people use it, and I haven't went through the process of suing or none of that because they got their own right to say what they have to say with their mamas.
Yeah,
So-
literally Usher. Said,
Yeah, he
"Mama,
said
baby."
it. Everybody called me, too.
Yeah. you see Cat Williams called you. Hey, man, Usher's using your stuff on the Super Bowl, man.
It's crazy. But, yeah, it's been a great trip, and it gives me honor to present her name because she's the one
Absolutely.
who actually pushed me to do this.
Absolutely. So what's coming up for you, brother? What you got going on?
A lot.
Yes. And there's people all over the country. So even if you
Yeah.
want to tell them about your most recent dates coming or anything you want to tell the people while they're watching.
Well, a lot of people come from out of town to see the Apollo.
Yes.
I've been doing the Apollo for 27, 28 years. I've been the host of Amateur Night. That's not the one on TV. That's Showtime at the Apollo.
Right.
The one that's Amateur Night at the Apollo is in the building, and me being a host is a great opportunity.
And they do that every
Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. So great story for me. I was fortunate to be pegged for one of the possible replacements for Steve Harvey after he did Showtime at the Apollo. But what they did is they had us come to the Apollo and experience that Wednesday night show.
Right.
And yourself and Talent, man, you both took me under your wing and, walked me through it because Apollo is a very daunting task.
Yes.
And I tell you, the only way I felt like I really, after, you guys giving me the tutelage, I survived is I had this chant I do. I go, da-da-da-da, and the people go, ooh, ooh, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wanted to do it on the show, and I did eventually do it on the show, but nobody in New York knew I did. I only did it in
Right.
Chicago. So I went out on 125th Street and told the people how to do it, 5 people at a time. All when they lined up for the
Right.
show, went all the way around the building, man, until everybody knew my chant. And then when I came out and did, the producers, they all like, how do they know that? So let that be a lesson to you. If you're doing a taping, go out and meet your audience. So
Yes.
that because Apollo can be hostile. And
Yeah.
if they didn't know, if I just walked out there expecting Steve, they'd be like, who is this
Yeah.
guy with with a bigger suit and less hair?
The funny thing, how I got the Showtime to host the TV show, I'm the guy who trained Monique. We went out on tour, and I am also the guy who trained Whoopi Goldberg. So Whoopi was like, if he's training everybody, why don't y'all give him a job? And Susan DuPass became my manager, and that's how I became the host.
The legendary
Yes.
Susan DePass, who brought the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
A great
man.
woman.
That's one of the beauties of this thing. Over the years, you get a chance to work with legendary people. Who are some of the favorite people that you've worked with, or somebody that you really admired that you had an opportunity to actually meet and work with?
Ooh. Do we go back? I mean,
Yeah.
Sinbad, Steve Harvey. I never got to work with Bernie.
That was my big bro.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, may he rest in peace. That's who he was my big homie in the game.
At the time, Tracy Morgan was pretty big when I was coming up. And, Tracy's the homie. He's not only one who that you work with that you see as a big person, but he brings you to his level and have conversations with you, what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right. And those opportunities you'll never forget because now I'm the one giving information.
Absolutely. I have a really funny story about Tracy, man. I eventually got a chance to kick it with him like you did, but the first time I met him was the night that I found out that I did not get the job as host of Showtime at the Apollo. Wow. So I'm going to Jameek, JP Justice now. I went to his room because I told him I was going to come by after the show. Did a little set, and then I'm leaving. I'm dejected, man. My heart broken.
Wow.
Come out the club. Who's walking up? Tracy Morgan.
Morgan.
And I had never seen him in person before. And he like, hey, man, you a funny dude. Come on, man, go to a strip club with me. and I don't do strip clubs. I'm notorious. I got a joke about not doing
Right.
strip clubs, but I probably should have went that night and kicked it with Tracy. You know, we'd have been homies more so. But I was like, if he just said anything else, if he just said let's go to McDonald's, if he just said let's go bowling, I'd have went. But he said strip club. I'm like, man, I ain't going to no damn strip club. I
Right.
went back to my room and sulked. Yeah, but that was an interesting situation.
Yeah.
So this comedy, you've been doing it 31 years.
Yes.
Right. And what would you say one of the highlights of your career have been?
You remember when podcasts started coming out?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody started interviewing entertainers.
Yeah.
I made it a business not to interview entertainers. I did a podcast, but I called it a people cast because I wanted to hear regular people's stories.
Smart.
And so when I did it, it became very successful.
Okay.
But then I got the call to do Comedy Hype, and I kind of put that on the back burner.
Yes.
I'm going back to that now because people who tell stories tell real stories.
And they're great stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's what I'm actually getting ready to produce again. And, you know, I was on Comedy Hype, and it was a good lesson. I personally loved it, but at the same time, I didn't like the same stories.
Right.
You know, if Dave Chappelle did something, we got to talk about that all week.
Right.
And I was kind of against that.
Yeah.
But it was a job, and
Yeah, it
that's
gave
what
you
we
some great
did.
exposure.
Yeah.
Plus, you were right there in Atlanta anyway.
Yeah.
Because you transplanted from New York to Atlanta, but you go back and forth to do the
Yeah,
Apollo.
I still have a place in Jersey.
Oh,
and,
nice.
But my main thing is Atlanta now. I even got something in Cali, but,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
those are the places I work, do TV and stuff. But, yeah. I actually relocated.
Well, you're a father, of course.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And
A couple of kids.
yeah, right. That's what we got left. Okay. She said 10. How you know he got 10 kids? Anyway, he might have. No, I don't know. But how did you? Because everybody always asks, how do you balance, you know, family life and fatherhood and with your show business and your aspirations, you know, to pursue greatness? And what's that balance been like for you?
I didn't. Sad to say, I didn't. You know, I mean,
That's another question. So,
no, I like to talk about
yeah,
that because
it's the real.
there's a lot of people who come into this business that don't know what it's like. And you know, when you become famous and you get busy on the road, you don't have that family time.
Right.
And you don't realize how much your kids start to resent you. And, you know, fortunately I'm, you know, recovered a relationship with some of them. Some of them I didn't.
Okay.
You know, they felt that I should have been there, but you wouldn't have had a not your own bedroom. You know, you
Private school,
exactly.
The Nikes you
They
wear.
don't see that.
Yeah.
But you have to understand their point of view too. They want their
course.
daddy there.
Yeah.
And it's a real hard thing to manage.
Yeah, it's tricky because when, you know, in our business, if the phone rings, that's your income.
Yeah.
And you got to go. And once you commit to something, you can't back out. My
Yeah.
son had a situation for his basketball. I've attended a lot of his stuff. I tried my best to be there as much as possible, but he asked maybe 8 months in advance for me to be at senior night for his basketball team. And I forgot. I took a tour with it was the Royal Comedy Tour, you know, and that's a tour. That wasn't a club, you know. And I had a date, but luckily the promoter, he had 2 kids who played volleyball in school, and so he understood. He said, you know what?
Right.
Don't even worry about it. Of course, he ain't still pay me.
Yeah.
You know who that was. But I sacrificed the money for that because you know you can get the money back, but those moments sometimes you have to do. So we're here with Capone. Tell him how to keep up with you.
Hey, you can reach me on Instagram because all the other stuff I just look at.
Right.
Instagram, we'll have a conversation. Go to Comedian Capone. Honestly, if you can't spell comedian, please don't follow me. And that's the way I look at it.
And that's how it is. I'm Damon Williams, Damon Williams Comedy, DamonWilliamsComedy.com. It's been a fantastic cruise. The show was awesome, man.
Yes.
You killed it.
All of us did.
The
Don't
three
you-
of us
yes.
were interchangeable, and it was a fantastic scenario. Hope to see him back on the cruise soon. If not, see him at a club or comedy show or theater near you.